Few rides have left as massive a mark on Disney parks or the world of themed entertainment as Pirates of the Caribbean. First opening at Disneyland in 1967, it was the last attraction Walt Disney personally oversaw before his death, and over the decades it has become a benchmark for immersive storytelling and dark ride design. From swashbuckling pirates to eerie caverns, massive sets and unforgettable music, Pirates isn't just a ride, it's a legend. In today's video, we're diving deep into the origins, development, ride experience and lasting legacy of this Disney classic. The story of Pirates of the Caribbean begins not on the high seas, but in the quiet offices of Wed Enterprises in the late 1950s. After the opening of Disneyland in 1955, Walt Disney was already dreaming up ways to expand the park's storytelling frontiers. He envisioned a new land, something more mature, more atmospheric, and completely unlike anything else at the park. That idea evolved into New Orleans Square, Disneyland's first entirely new land post-opening, themed to the romanticized charm of the 18th and 19th century Louisiana. At the heart of this new area would be a pirate-themed attraction, but the concept wasn't yet a ride. Originally, Pirates of the Caribbean was conceived as a walk-through wax museum, filled with detailed tableaus of pirate scenes brought to life with static figures, lighting and narration. Guests would slowly walk through ornate halls beneath New Orleans Square, experiencing scenes like pirate raids, hidden treasure and mysterious caves, each one frozen in time. But then, a few things changed everything. First, Imagineers had begun experimenting with a revolutionary new technology, audio animatronics. This innovation was showcased in attractions like the Enchanted Tiki Room in 1963, and then pushed even further in the 1964-65 New York World's Fair, with attractions like Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and It's a Small World. These attractions proved that Disney could bring lifelike motion and personality to figures using hydraulics, pneumatics, and clever programming. Second, the boat-based ride system from It's a Small World, which moved guests smoothly through a series of elaborate sets, caught Walt's attention. It was efficient, high capacity, and deeply immersive. Walt realized that a pirate story didn't belong in a museum, it needed movement, spectacle, and drama. So the walkthrough concept was scrapped. And in its place, Walt tasked his Imagineers with creating a fully immersive boat ride, unlike anything the world had ever seen. The show building would be hidden behind New Orleans Square, and guests would float through elaborate scenes filled with fully animated pirates, enormous sets, theatrical lighting, and dynamic soundscapes. Key Imagineers were brought on board. Mark Davis, known for his sharp humour and character design, focused on the playful and mischievous pirate figures. Claude Coates, a master of atmospheric staging, created moody environments like the eerie caves and stormy skies. And other animators were brought in to write the script and eventually the now iconic theme song Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me. But building the attraction would prove to be one of the most ambitious projects in Disneyland history. Walt wanted the ride to be epic, and he meant it. The show building spanned over 100,000 square feet, and the ride itself would last nearly 15 minutes, making it the longest indoor ride Disney had ever attempted. So designing Pirates of the Caribbean was one thing, building it was another challenge entirely. So construction began in early 1965, and it quickly became one of the most complex and ambitious projects Disney had ever taken on. Unlike most attractions at the time, Pirates required a multi-level indoor environment, elaborate sets, integrated water systems and precise animatronic staging, all within the footprint of a land that guests were already walking through, New Orleans Square. To hide the massive ride building, Imagineers cleverly placed most of the attraction outside the park's railroad berm, with guests passing through tunnels and drop sections to descend into the show building hidden beyond the perimeter. This underground trickery made it feel like guests were plunging deep below New Orleans into a pirate-infested world. And the scale was staggering. Over 400,000 gallons of water were required to power the ride's flume system. The boats, designed with a flat-bottomed hull, were guided by a channel only slightly deeper than the boats themselves. 2 hydraulic drops, each roughly 15 to 20 feet, helped move boats from the bayou-themed load area into the show scenes below. The cavern and town scenes were constructed inside a warehouse-like building over 112,000 square feet in size, roughly the area of 2 football fields. Massive sets, like the burning town facade and the pirate ship attack scene, were built at near full scale to maximise realism. And then there were the animatronics. So over 120 human and animal figures were installed throughout the attraction, and each one had its own motion program, requiring an intricate combination of pneumatic tubes, hydraulic pumps, valves, and early control computers. Many of these figures had independent movement in their heads, arms, eyelids, and mouths, all synchronized with lighting, sound effects, and music. The famous chase scenes were engineered with turntables, rotating platforms, and cleverly designed perspective tricks to create the illusion of depth and movement. And Mark Davis's sense of humour was infused into every scene, from pirates chasing women to pigs rolling in mud to a dog refusing to give up the jail cell keys. It wasn't just about action, it was about detail. The ride's fire effects in the town sequence, for instance, were so convincing that fire marshals demanded special documentation to prove the flames were just projections and lighting tricks. The treasure room featured real coins and props from Disney movie prop departments. The artificial stonework, ship sails, barrels, and wine bottles were all hand-built and painted, many with real-world historical references. Meanwhile, outside the ride, the elegant Blue Bayou restaurant was constructed to sit within the same show building as the ride's opening scene. This was one of the first times in theme park history where a fine dining experience was built directly into a ride environment, with the ambience of flickering lanterns, chirping crickets, and glowing fireflies making the restaurant feel like it was permanently locked in a Louisiana twilight. Every element had to work in harmony. Show, story, sound, structure, and ride system. It took over 2 years to bring it all together. By late 1966, the ride system was undergoing water tests, and figures were beginning to move in place. Sadly, Walt Disney passed away just 3 months before its completion. But when Pirates of the Caribbean opened in March 1967, it stood not just as a technological marvel, but as a fitting tribute to Walt's final vision. It was the most ambitious theme park attraction in the world at the time, and for many fans and historians, it still is. So the journey begins before you even board your boat. Located in the heart of Disneyland's New Orleans Square, the attraction is housed inside a stately antebellum-style building inspired by southern mansions. As guests make their way through the queue, they're surrounded by candlelit halls, nautical artifacts, and echoing sound effects of distant cannon fire and sea shanties. The mood is mysterious yet inviting, a perfect setup for the adventure ahead. Guests eventually board their boats in a quiet bayou, drifting past glowing fireflies and a lone banjo-playing man on his porch. It's a peaceful, eerie moment until the boat plunges down a waterfall and the real adventure begins. Once you've dropped into the dark depths of the pirate caverns, the tone quickly shifts. The first portion of the ride takes guests through eerie caves filled with skeletons, some locked in an eternal game of chess, others sprawled out among piles of gold. These scenes set the mythic tone, suggesting you're seeing the remnants of a cursed pirate crew. Then, cannon blasts and explosions mark the transition into the second act, a full-scale pirate assault on a Spanish fortress. Massive set pieces, dueling ships, and dozens of audio-animatronic pirates bring the chaos to life. Captain Barbossa, added in later years, commands a ship bombardment in some versions of the ride. One iconic scene features the auction, originally known for its controversial "We wants the redhead" line. In 2018, the scene was updated to depict the redhead, now known as Red, as a pirate herself, helping auction off loot rather than people. The final act of the ride shows the drunken aftermath of the raid. Pirates lounge in burning buildings, firing pistols and laughing as the town collapses around them. Eventually the chaos fades, and riders drift slowly back to the present day, returning to the bayou and disembarking. Following its success at Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean was added to other Disney parks, with each version bringing its own unique twists. Magic Kingdom's version in Florida opened in 1973 after guests demanded the beloved ride be added. It's a shorter, more condensed version due to time and space constraints. Tokyo Disneyland's version closely mirrors the original Disneyland layout, retaining many of its elaborate scenes and longer ride time. Disneyland Paris flipped the story structure, starting guests in the midst of a destroyed town and working backward to reveal the pirate legacy. Shanghai Disneyland took things even further. Pirates of the Caribbean Battle for the Sunken Treasure, which opened in 2016, is a completely reimagined experience using cutting-edge projection mapping, massive screens, and trackless boat technology. It features characters and storylines from the film series, creating an epic cinematic journey. Pirates of the Caribbean didn't just define a generation of theme park rides, it launched a multimedia empire. In 2003, it inspired the Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, a surprise box office hit starring Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. The film spawned a massive franchise, with 5 movies to date and more in development. And as Pirates of the Caribbean approached its 40th anniversary in the early 2000s, it wasn't just a theme park attraction anymore. The movie release was a turning point. What started as a high-concept gamble quickly turned into a global sensation, driven largely by Johnny Depp's quirky, unforgettable performance. The film made over $650 million worldwide and kicked off a new wave of pirate mania. But it also brought a major question to Disney parks. How do you honour the ride that inspired the movies while adapting it to fit the world the movies had created? In 2006, Disney Imagineers made their move.
Run up your white flag, you scurvy scum, and bring me Captain Jack Sparrow, or I'll be sending you to Davy Joe.
As part of a sweeping refurbishment that coincided with the release of Dead Man's Chest, the original Disneyland and Magic Kingdom versions of the ride were updated to include characters and story elements from the film series. The additions included Captain Jack Sparrow, who now appears in 3 different scenes, hiding in barrels, popping out from behind dresses, or lounging among treasure at the end of the ride. Captain Barbossa, who we mentioned earlier, replaced the original pirate captain on the attacking ship, and is now seen barking orders and searching for Jack Sparrow. There's a fog projection of Davy Jones and later Blackbeard in rotation, welcoming riders and warning them of the perils ahead. There was new audio, lighting and special effects, including upgraded cannon blasts, more dynamic fire projections, and enhanced facial animation for several animatronics. The goal, according to Disney, was to blend the film's success with the original ride's charm, creating a synergy that would resonate with newer fans while honouring its legacy. However, the response was mixed. Some guests welcomed the updates, especially younger visitors who'd grown up with the movie characters. Seeing Jack Sparrow in the ride helped connect the classic attraction to the broader Pirates universe. And the enhanced visuals and refreshed effects also gave the aging ride a new energy. However, longtime Disney fans and purists voiced strong concerns. Critics argued that the additions disrupted the ride's original story, so instead of a loose, atmospheric journey through pirate life, it now became a treasure hunt centred around Jack Sparrow, a narrative shift that some felt cheapened the original tone. Others pointed out that Jack's animatronic looked too realistic, so lifelike in fact, that many guests believed it was a real actor during its first few weeks. And while technically impressive, some fans felt his inclusion made the other figures seem less authentic by comparison. There was also debate around the broader trend of IP integration into classic attractions. For some, Pirates was never meant to be tied to a specific story or character. It was about the spirit of adventure and mischief. To see it anchored to a franchise, even a successful one, felt like a departure from Walt Disney's original vision. Nonetheless, the update stuck, and more followed. In the years since, Disney continued to tweak the attraction. As I said before, the auction scene was reimagined in 2018, and again that move sparked debate, with some praising the effort to modernise outdated scenes, and others lamenting the loss of a classic moment. Despite the controversies, one thing is clear: Pirates of the Caribbean has never stopped evolving. From waxwork museum to groundbreaking ride, from classic animatronics to cinematic synergy, it remains one of Disney's most influential and enduring creations. Today, whether you're watching skeletons drink ghostly rum or trying to spot all the Jack Sparrow cameos, the ride still captures that sense of awe and wonder that has enchanted guests for nearly 6 decades. It's a rare feat for an attraction to stay relevant for over 50 years, but Pirates of the Caribbean has done just that, constantly adapting, yet never losing the magic that made it iconic in the first place. Thank you for coming along on this voyage through history. If you like this look into Pirates of the Caribbean, please consider hitting the like button because it's incredibly helpful to this growing channel. And also consider subscribing for more of these theme park nostalgia deep dive videos. Really enjoying looking back at rides old and new. And please also drop down into the comments and let me know what ride you'd like to see me do next. And if these ride history videos interest you, why not check out this video next? Thanks so much for joining me today. And remember, dead men may tell no tales, but we'll keep telling them one ride at a time.